Welcome in. BBL Sports, the Big Boys League, episode 35. Shout out Katie. Sports weekend from hell. Fire Sherrone. Fire Jonathon Smith. Tigers. Lions. Not a good weekend. Not a fun weekend. All right, let's just get right into it. This week's recap, we're doing a little different than normal. So much sports this weekend, so much bad sports this weekend. We sat here in these seats last week and said, this has the makings of the greatest sports weekend of all time. Wings start the season, Tigers in the ALDS Game 5, big games for Michigan and Michigan State, and then the Lions cap it off with Sunday Night Football. It was brutal. It was a sports weekend from hell. Nobody had fun this weekend. We are going to kick it off in the NFL, talking about the Lions and the Chiefs. And it's going to be a little bit of an event session. We're going to talk about the football teams. Where do we go from here in college? And then how do the Lions bounce back from their second loss of the year? I want to start with the game at Arrowhead, the Sunday Night Football game. And I want to preface by saying something really quickly. I wish this was one of those Lions games where we could sit here and bitch about the officiating and blame the loss on the officiating. You know, very much like Dallas 2 years ago, Dallas in the playoffs, the Seattle game back in time. Two things can be true here. The officials were atrocious in that game and absolutely screwed the Lions in a couple different places throughout that game. That is not why the Lions lost that game.
No.
The Lions could not get the run game going. The Lions had 5 of their top 6 corners out, and as much as I tried to tell myself that a hobbled Kirby and Brian Branch could make up for that, they couldn't. Patrick Mahomes sliced and diced them. And what sucks is if the Lions, you sit back and you watch that game, if the Lions are going to have a chance to win that game, they were going to need help from the officiating, not the other way around. And that just kind of piled on. So, but I am going to say this really quickly. I already prefaced it. The Lions did not lose that game from officiating. But two things can be true. It gets to a point, man. And this is why people hate the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's start with the Goff touchdown. I'm sure you guys have seen the Dan Campbell interview from this morning. New York called in to overturn that Jared Goff touchdown and take that awesome touchdown off the board. Was it a legal play or an illegal play? To be honest with you, I don't know, because there's different ways that you can interpret that rule. The Lions felt like he never set himself as a quarterback. He didn't put his hands under center. The refs feel like he did declare himself as a quarterback, and that's why he needed to stop. Nonetheless, that flag, if you were going to flag that for illegal motion, that flag's got to come out at the snap. It didn't. New York then calls down and reviews a play that they cannot review and takes a touchdown off the board. So just right off the jump, that pissed me off. 0 flags for the Chiefs throughout the entirety of the game, which is truly unheard of. I witnessed quite a few with my own 2 eyeballs. But again, we're not going to sit here and harp on the officiating because that's not why the Lions lost the game. They just didn't play well enough. I didn't love the offensive game planning. And the defense, man, I didn't value the injuries in the secondary as much as I should have when I went in feeling pretty confident about this game. But, Joey, I want you to kick it off. You picked the Chiefs. You were confident that the Chiefs were going to win this game. Give us your thoughts on the game and why you were right.
I've got something prepared. I'd rather go first, and we can finish with me.
All right, deal.
All right.
Start.
What a gentleman. I want to bring it back to the whole refs thing. Like, I never felt like when I was watching that game that I've watched Lions games where I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what are these calls? That one I didn't quite feel it. just Googled this because there was one game where I felt like the refs. I'm gonna quiz you guys. In the last 8 years, there was a game where the Lions truly lost because of the refs. Do you know? Does either of you can maybe think of anything that pops to your head? Because this was the first thing that came to my head. Do you, any
Last
just any?
8 years?
I'll say I'll put it right in the
Cowboys
diet.
playoff game?
It was 6 years ago. It was against the Green Bay Packers. Trey
Oh,
Flowers.
Yeah.
Flowers hands to the face calls against Bakhtiari. On the last drive, they called him for 2 hands to the face, and I was just looking it up, and it led to them kicking the game-winning field goal. We lost by 1. That's a game where you're like, that we got screwed. This game we didn't. I don't think we got screwed. I do think the Chiefs always get the benefit of the call, like no matter what. But like Adam, you said it. Our running game has to get cooking. Like we have to cook up the running game, and we just didn't. And we couldn't stop them. Like you said, 5 out of 6 second or cornerbacks are out. Your safeties are banged up. What did they give Kirby in that tent?
Want some.
What did they give Kirby in that tent? He went in there with guys carrying him, and 10 minutes later, they show him sprinting down the sidelines. I don't know. It was just Joey was right. Joey, I appreciate your input last week because it did like ease the pain. Because the whole time after listening to you say, I'm like, he's right. Chiefs are gonna do anything to win this game, including pay the refs or whatever. And we're banged up, whatever, on a 4-game winning streak. So I'm not worried at all. I'm curious why they're not throwing the ball to Gibbs as much as they used to. I feel like they got to get him going in the pass game, but I don't know. Joey, like I said, Joey eased the pain a little bit. I wasn't like super pissed. It's the Chiefs. If we lost that to the Bengals, then I'd be worried. But Chiefs are different. They're going to end up being a top team by the end of the season. So we'll may see them again. So.
All right, Joey, before we get to your take, I just want to add a couple things here. I want to fact check Stark on one thing.
Oh, come on. You're going to fact check me?
2 years ago, the Taylor Decker, Dan Skipper fiasco in Dallas, that was, I mean, the game was over. The Lions won that game.
I wasn't saying there wasn't other ones, but that one just will stay in my head forever, the Trey Flowers hands to the face calls.
And I agree. And here's the other thing too. The Lions only were flagged, 4 times throughout that game. Was it 4 or 5 times throughout that game? It's not like the officials got involved a ton, but I do not think the officials have anything to do with the Lions losing that game. They certainly didn't help momentum swings. There was a 3rd down PI call on Travis Kelce. The flag gets thrown super late. The replay doesn't show much there to throw a PI.
That was bad.
Just some swing plays there that was really, really frustrating. I actually think the frustration was the lack of flags in that game, not the flags that came out. It was actually the lack of flags in that game. But again, I'm with you. I didn't love the offensive game plan, and before I move this over to Joey, it is I want to get your guys' thought on this take. That was, John Morton has been cooking for 3-4 weeks now, and I've been loving what we see on the offensive side. What that game plan looked like to me was an offensive coordinator in his first season with so many weapons. It's almost like there's too many weapons. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't have that horse that he can just lean on and ride on, and we've seen that with like Amon-Ra in Baltimore. They just rode Amon-Ra. David Montgomery, same type of deal in Baltimore. It was like he was trying to get different guys the ball and get different guys involved, and then you look up and you're down by 2 scores. That's what it felt like to me watching that offensive game plan. I didn't love the offensive game plan, and I think Dan Campbell said it earlier in the week, if we're going to win this game, we got to put up 30 points. You put up 17. Just not a good showing on the offensive side of the ball.
Did they score after Goff? They called the Goff penalty back or Goff touchdown back. Did they end up scoring on that drive?
They did not. They kicked a field goal.
Okay, yeah, that makes a big difference. Okay.
So again, there were some questionable things there, but again, I think it comes down to you can't even be that mad at the defense. 5 of your 6 top corners out. I think that game falls on the offense, in my opinion. Jet, you're smirking over there. We'll give you the floor.
I've got so many things that I want to say. First thing is shout out Summer Hartley. Sometimes when you're ranting, I just think of the whole reason why we started this podcast, and it's just her that she wanted you to stop talking to her about sports, and I'm just picturing you yelling all these things at her after the game.
Oh, I was. I promise you I was. And during. And yes. That's funny.
But yeah, no, that just made me crack up. I don't know why that came into my head. But yeah, first I want to say, hot take of the week. Is there anything gayer than being a straight male? Because I didn't watch a second of this Lions game. I was hanging out with the girl and we watched different shows, which was so dumb. But yeah, I mean, there was part of me that was like, I know you don't want to watch this because I know it's going to be a loss. I knew deep down from the get, but yeah, I was going to tell you I'm not qualified to make any takes or anything. You called me and like FaceTime me. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't talk right now. But yeah, I didn't see a lick of it. I'm glad I didn't see a lick of it. I put $100 on Gibbs' first touchdown score so I could ride with you. That was sad. I'm sorry to bring that up, but yeah, I
now
thought
let's talk about
was,
it.
First touchdown score is such a shitty bet to ride, I swear.
It is. And let's talk about that very quickly. If you follow our accounts, you know I posted it. I didn't know if I should cash out, ride it out. I had a bet. It was 3 first touchdown scores parlayed. It was $25 to win $8,200. It all came down to Gibbs, and I opted to ride it. And Jet, if you didn't watch a lick of the game, let me tell you, first and goal.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And they run a pass, hook and ladder to Gibbs, who kind of gets up the sideline a little bit. He gets down to about the 6. Second and goal. Standard Goff under center. He turns around and hands it to Gibbs. Gibbs gets to, I don't know, 3 or 4. Third and goal. I'm like, man, are they going to go back to Gibbs? They go back to Gibbs, and from the TV, it looked like he potentially got in. They end up marking him down at about the half-yard line. Fourth and goal, and that set up the pass to Goff that I'm sure you've seen, the David Montgomery throwing to Goff. We were 6 inches from glory.
I always think
we were so close from hitting that bet, and so I was gutted. I was gutted when it didn't hit, but I appreciate you putting money on Gibbs' first touchdown to ride with me. But all right, so. You haven't, I guess, so you haven't seen the game, so you're not going to give us a bunch of detailed, this is offensive game plan, defensive game plan, this is what you didn't like. You were smart. You didn't put yourself through that. So I'm going to pose this question to Stark. How worried did this game make you? Okay.
I'll still answer that as well, too,
boat.
just because I swear to you, I knew we were going to lose this game. It was the Chiefs' Super Bowl. They weren't going to go, what? They would have been 2-4?
You're right. It's why my worry meter or level is at 0. This was a must-win game for the Chiefs. They couldn't fall to 2-4. Really tough to make the playoffs at 2-4, especially when you're division at 2-4. This was a must-win for the Chiefs. Backs against the wall. A banged-up Lions defense. I still would have liked to see a better effort out of the Lions offense. But it is what it is. And if you were to tell any 3 of us at the beginning of this season, through the first 6 games, that gauntlet that the Lions are running through, you're going to be going into that Monday Night Football game against Tampa Bay, and the Lions were 4-2, we all would have signed up for that right then and there.
Oh, yeah.
So we're on track. The Lions are on track. I think you got to get to 12 wins. I think 12 wins the division this year, and we're on the road to 12 wins, and we're looking ahead. I need to see better offensive game planning out of John Morton. I need to see better execution out of the offense. The offense needs to – we are in that back half of last season territory where the offense is going to have to carry this team to some victories while we start to get healthy in the secondary. The beauty of this season versus last season is these injuries are starting right around the bye earlier in the season. We're getting TA back. We're getting DJ Reed back by the end of the season.
Aleem
McNeil
he's back
makes his season debut this week, and we're getting some reinforcement on the defensive line. Marcus Davenport will be back at some point here in the near future. So the timing of the injuries are much, much better this year than they were last year. With that, let's move on from the loss, from the vent session. Let's preview Monday Night Football.
Let's go.
All right. So Lions get the Bucs at home. You guys know how much I love the Bucs. Baker playing at MVP level. Couple things here. Dan Campbell teams off of a loss. They haven't lost 2 straight games since 2022. They're playing at home in Ford Field on Monday Night Football. They are wearing the all blacks. The universe likes the Lions this week. The statistics likes the Lions this week. Now, to offset the Lions' injuries in the secondary, I don't know half the names of the wide receivers playing for the Buccaneers right now. Mike Evans, probably not playing. Chris Godwin, definitely not playing. Bucky Irving, definitely not playing. Emeka Ibuka, day-to-day right now, won't know his status till closer to game time. So it's going to be a bunch of guys that you're saying, who? Catching the balls for the Buccaneers, and a bunch of guys that you say, who? Defending them on the Lions side. Jet, what are you looking for in the Lions in a bounce back this week? Who's your X factor?
X factor, I'm gonna say Goff. No stupid turnovers. I think that this game's gonna be like the Chargers game 2 years ago, where it was just punch for punch, down the field. It's going to be like a 45-42 victory. So I just think, I don't think our defense is going to make a game-winning play here. I think that Goff's just going to have to play perfect football, and he always does.
Stark.
My X factor, It's going to be... I feel like I always take an offensive X factor. I think my X factor is going to be whoever's playing cornerback. Because you just got to find a way to shut these guys down. Rock Sin. I think Mike Evans has a shot to play Monday. If he's playing, I think that scares me. Man,
He's
I don't know.
practicing right now.
He's practicing. I love it for fantasy. I'm worried a little bit. I think the spread is a little crazy. I'm going to go with my X factor being Jack Campbell. I think he is playing some awesome football. He's going to have to play really good this week in coverage on Rachaad White, who's known to be a good running back catching the ball. I don't know the defense, man. Defense has to shut them down. Can't let Baker. Adam, shout out you. Baker is my MVP pick at this point. He is a dog. So if we can find a way to shut him down, I think he's like a quarterback that doesn't matter who's around. Like, he's gonna make Tej Johnson look good because he puts that ball in a basket. So defense has to play good. We're gonna score points. It's can we stop them from scoring points? So we're always here. I hate this feeling. Defense is always hurt. We're always struggling on the D side of the ball. I'm gonna make them my X factor, linebackers specifically.
Okay, I like it. I am gonna go on the defensive side of the ball as well. I'm gonna make my X factor a banged up Kirby Joseph. No Brian Branch. Doesn't have his running mate. It looks like Kirby is going to play. Dude, it's a bunch of guys that have no business starting in an NFL game, playing in the secondary. Kirby's got a knack for finding the ball and making that play in an opportune time. And I think, to Joey's point, this is going to be a back-and-forth game. I think this is going to come down to two things. I think it's going to come down to time of possession and turnovers. If the Lions can control the clock, get that run game going, I'd like to see more David Montgomery. Something Dan Campbell said in his presser this week is they want to get more carries to David Montgomery. I'd like to see more ground and pound. Eat the clock, finish off drives with touchdowns, keep the ball out of Baker's hands, and find a way to get one. Just find a way to get one, Kirby. That's going to be my X factor. And the Bucs are also an extremely banged-up team, which makes what Baker's doing just that much more impressive. Not only are all of his wide receivers and offensive weapons out, dude, they got 3 dudes on that offensive line out.
If they're getting any of those offensive linemen back this week, I don't believe they do. Hutch, dude, can we get another 5-sack game like we saw out of you against this team in Ford Field last year? We need Hutch to show up big, but Kirby is going to be my X factor. And I like the Lions to win this game. I think you got to win this game. Going into the bye, cannot drop 2 straight going into the bye. You get healthier after the bye, and the gauntlet continues. It does not get any easier for the Lions. Can I throw one thing out to you guys really quick? I just want to throw you guys are going to like this.
No.
All right, never mind. Joey?
No.
I have a futures bet, a parlay. 10 to win $7,000. Hutch, Defensive Player of the Year. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Offensive Player of the Year.
Looks good.
Baker Mayfield, MVP.
Wow. Why'd you put JSN in there?
First season at wide receiver 1, I figured they were going to have to sling that thing. He's a dog. I don't know. I just liked him. I really liked his over on yards going into the season. So I just want to throw that out there. Listen, it's only week 7, but I'm liking that bet. I figured you guys would like it as well.
I feel like Jonathan Taylor is the current favorite for Offensive Player of the Year. I would guess.
Who is?
Jonathan Taylor.
Yes, he is. Yeah. He is. So, but JSN is right there.
Right behind him.
Yeah. So,
Man's a dog.
All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about Lions-wise before we put a bow on this? Move on to our disgusting college teams.
I'm going to give you an underrated player on their team that we must not let go off, and it's
Sean
Cade
Tucker.
Otton. No, not him. Cade Otton. I know from this time in the fantasy season, he had 2 good games in a row now after starting the year really slow. If he's their only weapon, he can play. He can do damage. So find a way to shut down their tight end, force them to throw it to Tez Johnson, and who's the other guy? Cameron Johnson. Who's the other guy?
Cameron Johnson. I thought they were the same guy.
Yeah, Cameron
Somebody
Johnson.
texted me, who's Cameron Johnson? And I actually felt like an idiot. I'm like, do you mean Tez?
No, yeah.
And they're like, oh, they must be like using his government name. It must be Tez Johnson. Yeah. Cameron and Tez.
Yeah. Shut down Cade Otton, shut down Rashad White. You're going to win the game by a lot.
All right. Putting a bow on that, and we are going to go. Jet, we're giving you the floor.
I appreciate it.
What? What do you do in East Lansing, dude?
So, I wish I was a little more concise last week because I was all over the place with my takes last week. I picked Michigan State to win and cover the spread and pick them. But I did tell you my ideal scenario is we go in and we lose by 21 and we fire Jonathon Smith. We held up.
You
on
did say
losing
that.
By 21. We did not hold our up on firing Jonathon Smith. Graham Couch, close to the program, says that if it's a bad game this week, Smith's gone. From what I hear, that's as reliable of a source as it can get. My dream scenario is an absolute routing, like Cignetti runs it up, and he should. I don't see any reason why not, but who knows. But yeah, I mean, where I am at right now is we are in hell. We have a coach that I don't think he knows where he's at. I don't think he cares. The boys aren't playing. You have your former running back who went in the transfer portal, goes to UCLA, comes and scores 3 touchdowns. Like, you would think in the locker room or in the defensive game plan, like, that's a guy that's circled. Like, he left your program, went elsewhere, you'd be like, hey, we're not letting him score. No, he comes in, he scores 3 touchdowns, and then in the post game, he's interviewed and says, yeah, Michigan State's team completely gave up. They weren't even trying out there. It's like, yeah, no shit. The other team is calling it out. He's like, they have no fight. These kids do not care. And I think we have talent. I'm not sure about play calling. I'm not smart enough to say, oh, we're running the wrong schemes or we're doing this and that. It's not that blatantly obvious. But I tell you what, 2 things. We are not disciplined. Ton of penalties and special teams is terrible. And dude, the kids look like they don't fucking care. And you need to be gone. If you're a coach and you can't get your players to care, bye-bye. See ya. I would be happy with anyone besides him, but I think if this program ever wants to be taken seriously, you got to spend money, go out and get big guy back
I was
here.
gonna say, is James at the top of your list?
I think Narduzzi actually would be. I would love Pat Narduzzi come back in, but I think that he's really content at Pitt, and I mean, realistically, from an AD perspective, or who's ever making the decision on this hire, is that really much of a difference from Jonathon Smith? Like, you're coming in taking a chance on a guy maybe just because he had success as a coordinator here, and he's had, I wouldn't call it a ton of success at Pitt, but he wins a couple big games every year. He made it to, the Peach Bowl with Kenny Pickett, but he's not like a tremendous recruiter. He's not like a portal merchant. He wouldn't be that wow factor that I think gets a lot of people happy. He'd just be a name that's been in the program before. James Franklin is like obviously a guy who could turn a program around very quickly. And he's great at recruiting. He's good in the portal. And I also think that it makes total sense from a financial standpoint. He's got something in his contract where Penn State is going to pay him whatever they're going to pay him no matter what. So if Michigan State comes in and offers him fucking $1 million a year, they're just paying the difference, $1 million less on his contract. So he basically gets to keep his contract that he had at Penn State.
You think that adds to his team's desires to get him, knowing that they don't have to pay him as much because he might be getting paid from them still? Do you think that's something they could agree on and say, hey, come in, we'll pay this, and he can kind of pick wherever he wants and doesn't have to worry about money because he's still going to get paid his Penn State salary?
100%, but I also think that another thing that's got to motivate this guy, you think, is staying in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, you look at his record versus top 25 teams. No, it is not illustrious. But he does constantly win. And, okay, maybe he hasn't won the big game, but if I'm him,
that's
I
all
want
you
to
can ask for.
stay in the Big Ten. And I want to go win the big game against Penn State and be like, you guys, you don't realize how fucking good you had it. And now, once again, I think that getting hype about James Franklin is like me getting hype about Urban Meyer last year. I don't think that there's a shot. Realistically, I'd put it at a 5% chance. But it is fun to get excited about, and all the stars are there for why he should think about actually doing it. He could come to a program that has not had the most success, but we're top 5 in NIL in the Big Ten, and he still gets to play all the Big Ten schools that he's familiar with. He's going to be in a similar program because I do not think he's an SEC coach. If he's not happy that he got fired after, his not so much great season at Penn State, he would be canned a lot quicker down at an SEC school.
Agreed. And I think I'm going to say something optimistic here. I think you have a much better chance of hiring James Franklin than you had hiring Urban Meyer. I think it's a significantly higher chance. And for all of the reasons that you just named, and I think James is a little younger. I don't think he wants to get out of coaching. I really like your Narduzzi potential hire, because, Jed, I said this to you last week, which is, as a Michigan fan, I've just come to know the culture and what it means to be a Spartan dog, and the type of culture that State has had success with playing football. And I feel like when Antonio left, they got away with that in Mel Tucker. They got away with that in Jonathon Smith. And they were kind of going after these flashy guys that can work the portal. Well, look how that's worked out. It's been brutal. So I like the Narduzzi take. I also like the James Franklin take. And if I were you, I would also be pulling for James Franklin. So, no, it's sad to see. The state of Michigan State football is sad to see. And as much as me and Stark rag on State, I think Stark would agree with me. The college football season is more fun, and the Big Ten is better when Michigan State is competitive.
I love when the Big Ten's good. I want all the Big Ten teams to be good. So yeah, I agree. it's better for every team in the Big Ten when they're good.
Yeah, I just
Absolutely.
one
And
last
it's better for the
thing.
rivalry.
Yeah, it is so much more fun when both teams are good because I tell you what, when we suck and we still beat you and you guys are good, it's just not even that fun. Um,
Dude, we're
but
talking about that as if last year it wasn't Michigan's worst year of all time, and they beat both Michigan State and Ohio State. What are you
wow,
talking
that's
about?
so sick. No, but you
What?
said that Mel Tucker didn't have that dog mentality. He was the opposite. I think he had too much of the dog mentality, and the dog was off the chain. He was running
Yeah,
loose.
it was a rabid dog.
It
It
was
was not. It was like a rabid. Yeah, needed some shots. It wasn't vaccinated. Did he get his vaccination? Got to be questioned. All right, Stark.
Call me asparagus.
Fire Sherrone.
We got to talk Michigan football, and we got to talk Sherrone. And I'm gonna hand the floor to you to talk Sherrone. But I just quickly want to throw out a stat. Sherrone Moore has been the head football coach for a season and a half at Michigan. His regular season head coaching record is 11-7. Just gonna let that sit there. Stark, takes on Michigan football up until this point. What are your thoughts on Sherrone?
He's just an idiot. They just don't play good when he's on the sidelines. Like, what? There's something about it. Because those games that he wasn't on the sidelines, Adam, tell me, didn't they look a lot better?
They did.
Yeah.
They
that
certainly
one
did.
week, by the way, when I asked you that one week if they were with them if he was with the team that whole week, he wasn't. He wasn't allowed to be with them at all for that week. So he was not with the team the week that they beat, who was it? They put
Nebraska.
Nebraska. He wasn't
Central.
allowed to be with the team. I think it was like 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. After the game the week before to 12 a.m. after they lose or they win against Nebraska. He was not with that team. He's just like Jonathon Smith. He is. I feel like he's got no energy, no juice. He looks like an idiot on the sidelines. He looks like he has no idea what's going on. I think he's got to go. You got to get someone in here that's gonna. It's a Harbaugh prodigy, right, or protege, whatever. And there's got to be someone else who's better to bring in. I have a hot take on a coach that Michigan should bring in. They need someone to develop Bryce Underwood, and so I don't know if you know the name Will Stein. He's the offensive coordinator at Oregon, and I think he's been pretty successful at elevating the game of some quarterbacks that maybe weren't as good, like Dante Moore, for example. Bring him in, he looks great. I don't know. You need someone to add some juice in to support Underwood because he is like the team right now. So. He didn't look good last week, but I don't know. I just think even when Biff was in as their coach, like they looked better. And there's got to be something to like playing for a guy you believe in. That's where I think Michigan State's at right now. Like you can't those players don't believe in him. Didn't Dan or what's his name? Valeni on 97.1 was like he is weird. Like he's a weird guy. He doesn't communicate well. And I have a feeling Sherrone is just like the same way. He says the right things in a press conference, but man, he looks like an idiot, and I don't like him. Last week's Michigan game was hard to watch, really hard to watch, and I don't like Sherrone. We need a fresh start. I feel like this is still like attached to the Harbaugh era. The Harbaugh era is over. Bring in something new, start something fresh, because I don't know. Just you got to agree with me, right, Adam? Like he's just got no.
Yeah, no. So I got a couple takes here. I'm with you, and I think let me preface by saying this. Michigan wins out the rest of this season,
Keep him.
you bring Sherrone back. Michigan does not win out the rest of this season, you have to move on. And that's where I'm at.
Ohio State this year, he's got to go. Which sounds
Yeah,
crazy because they're really good, but that should be the standard for him, I think.
That is where I'm at. And I'm with you. You have he comes from the Jim Harbaugh staff, and here's the problem. He's trying to be Jim Harbaugh. You're not Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Jet, you can, as a State fan, you can agree. Jim Harbaugh, Michigan football teams were disciplined. They weren't sloppy. They weren't taunting. They weren't. They had a certain way that they carried themselves on the field and in their play. They did the little things right. That's Jim Harbaugh. And Sherrone Moore wants to act like a Jim Harbaugh. What face are you making?
What face are you making over there?
Discipline
So
penalties. I think of
Yes.
the tunnel incident. I think of Rashawn Gary scraping his cleat on Spartan. They were not a disciplined
One
non-penalty
Rashawn
football
Gary.
club.
That was Devin Bush. That was Devin
Devin
Bush.
Bush,
I'm
whatever.
talking. Now you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking between the whistles.
Dude, the tunnel
False
was
start
not
penalties, taunting penalties, unsportsmanlike conduct, roughing, just stupidity on the football field. You didn't see a lot of it under Jim Harbaugh. And Sherrone is trying too hard to be Jim Harbaugh. You're not Jim Harbaugh. And here's why I'm saying you have to put Sherrone on the hot seat. You paid, what is it, $12 million for Bryce Underwood? You are not developing Bryce Underwood. Chip Lindsey is not developing Bryce Underwood. Is that a Chip Lindsey problem? Is that a Sherrone Moore problem? At the end of the day, it falls on the head coach. You are truly running the risk of losing Bryce Underwood to the transfer portal unless you turn this thing around. It's overly conservative. I don't understand the game planning. I'm not going to get too into the USC game, but dude, USC is a decent football team. There's two things they do really well and two things they do really bad. In Michigan's game plan, I truly question, did you watch any film on USC going into that game? Because
Shut
you
down the passing
basically
game.
handed them the win on a silver platter because your game plan made no sense.
Their
So
backup running
Again-
back came in and ran all over them.
again,
There
if
was
I'm
no-
sitting on my couch, and I know what play USC is going to run just based on their formation, and then I look at the Michigan defense, I'm like, oh shit, here we go again. Like, what do we do? They're unprepared, they're undisciplined, and I'm with you. It doesn't feel like the players support Sherrone and love Sherrone nearly the way that they supported Jim Harbaugh. So I am saying if Sherrone Moore and Michigan do not win out, you got to part ways with Sherrone. And Michigan, I think, becomes the hottest coaching job on the market. I think Michigan's a better job than Penn
They owe
State.
it to Connor Stallions to give him an interview. They should give him an interview for the head coaching job. They have to.
I have so
Connor
many hot
Stallions
takes.
to East Lansing, would you take it? Connor Stallions,
No.
head coach in East Lansing, would you take it?
He's a psyop. He would bring our program down from within.
Oh yeah.
I've got
Bring on the hot takes.
yeah, I've got some great takes for you. I mean, were you guys impressed with Harbaugh through his first 3 seasons? No, he was being called to be fired by everyone. Everyone.
Not the first 3 seasons.
Yes.
Not the first 3 seasons.
Yes.
No. We went through Brady Hoke and Rich Rod, and in Harbaugh's first season, they won 10 games. We were pleasantly surprised. In his second season, they were the number 2 team in the country, and they lost to Ohio State in double overtime on the JT was short game, and that kept them out of the playoffs. Then they regressed in their third season. I was not
They
calling
went
for Harbaugh to be fired after his third
versus
season.
Ohio State. 0-3 versus Ohio State.
They did.
And
They did.
1-2 versus Michigan State.
They did. But they were winning
his
10
ass
plus
was
games
on
in
the
playoff
hot
contention.
seat. Never in playoff
Ass
contention.
will be on the hot seat in 2020.
His ass was on the hot seat after the COVID year.
2-4 because they went 2-4 the COVID year.
Yes.
He was on the hot seat.
Every single year they were ranked, and in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of his 10 years. Is that right? No, wait. 1,
9.
2,
He only
3,
coached 9.
4, 5, 6. Yeah, they were at one point in of those 9 seasons, in 7 of them, they were a top 10 team at one point in the season. So I mean, I think
that doesn't
that's
mean
all you can
anything
ask
being
for.
a
That's
top
like-
10 team. No,
but
being
that's
ranked at a
that's
top
like
10
James
team.
Franklin, Joe. Like,
No, it is not. We're not comparing the two right now. I'm saying it's how you finish the season. You guys weren't finished the season ranked top 10. Being ranked, you guys were ranked top 10 pretty much every single preseason.
in
guys weren't
2023, they
finishing.
finished the season ranked number 1.
Oh,
Jay,
sick.
you're
I'm
thinking
saying-
of, because I remember this. No, I remember this. You're thinking after Harbaugh's second season, you were on your hands and knees begging them to fire Harbaugh because you knew he owned Michigan State, and if they gave him more time, he would bring a natty to Ann Arbor.
All right, Joey, sorry.
That is not the case.
His first year at Michigan, they ended the year at 12th in the nation. And they won the Citrus Bowl. So he was not on the hot seat after. And the first 3 years weren't that bad. It was
He lost
following 4 years.
He lost to Michigan State and he lost to Ohio State. Yes, he was on the hot seat. But okay. I digress.
Why are you comparing that to? Are we supposed to?
I am saying you guys are so mad. That man robbed your program. He came in. He was like a parasite. He came in. He sucked it dry with this national championship roster. And he did a good job of getting boosters to believe in him. He really did. He got all these players to stay, NIL, all that. Got the 1 more year fund, whatever. He won a national championship asterisk. And then he leaves. And Sherrone Moore's the fall guy. Sherrone Moore comes in. What coach has ever just won a national championship and said, all right, I'm done. I'm going on to the NFL. He had to escape from sanctions and penalties. And then he goes and Sherrone becomes the fall guy. He inherits this dog shit team last year who they fought their ass off. They beat Ohio State. They beat Michigan State, 2 of the biggest rivals in his first year as a coach. And the fans are so upset because they have this true freshman quarterback who's not Heisman favorite winning the national championship his first year. Oh my gosh, dude. You guys should be lucky in the position that you're in. You're calling for his
Yeah. Go ahead.
You're calling for this man's job. What has he done wrong? He's got nobody on the roster. He's got nobody on the roster. I'm telling you, there were a lot of people that didn't like Harbaugh in the beginning, and you can say, oh, we loved him. We didn't like him until he went 2-4. It's like, no, he was losing to your rivals. You guys were mad about that. And so, yes, Sherrone Moore has not had a great start, but, dude, he's got to actually develop this team. And you're like, you compared him to Jonathon Smith start? No, dude, he's got dog. These players want to play for Sherrone. He might not be the smartest guy. He might have to bring in some better coordinators, but I don't think anything has to do with Sherrone. I think he is a Michigan football coach.
I just don't like the whole attachment to the Harbaugh era. I would like a new era. I get it. He doesn't probably deserve to be fired, and he's not going to get fired. But give me something more exciting. Harbaugh was at least exciting. He was a very exciting hire. Like, it was a big deal.
We're going to end the conversation here. Joey, you made a couple just atrocious points there, but you made a couple good points too. And you did make a couple good points. And listen, I will speak a little bit positively about Sherrone Moore. He has shown some flashes, right? He took over the reins and was the head coach against Penn State, against Ohio State in that national championship season. Dude, he beat Michigan State, Ohio State, and Alabama last year, and he showed some flashes. What worries me is those have just been flashes in the week to week. It's the undisciplined. It's the penalties. It's the what the hell moments. There's been too many of them. He's been 11-7 so far as a head coach. And you were absolutely right. Sherrone Moore was hired for one reason. We don't know what the NCAA is going to do to us with the Stallion situation. This is our fall guy. Come coach this team and do the best you can for a couple years. And once we get some clarity, then we'll make some decisions. And I think, dude, his buyout is $4 million. What's James Franklin's, like 80?
I think it's 30 million.
Jonathon Smith's is like 250. How much is Jonathon
but you know
Smith?
what I mean?
Jonathon Smith is
I don't know what Jonathon
million.
Smith's buyout is, but okay. Sherrone Moore's is 4.
Yeah.
Sherrone Moore's buyout is like $4 million.
Sherrone millionaire. Sherrone millions.
Sherrone $4 million. That's the new name. Listen, I'm going to support this Michigan team. I want Sherrone to succeed. I am just telling you, dude, you don't win out. Things get dicey. There's some conversations in Ann Arbor. It's the product that he's been putting on the field. He's made a couple flashes, but I don't think he was ever meant to be the long-term solution for Michigan. Yes, Joey.
All right, I'm sorry. I went on that rant as a total joke. Just I'm a psychopath that I went on that rant even. I actually hate Sherrone more. I think he's a really bad coach. But I just wanted to see what you guys would say if I made all those points. He's a bad
So
coach.
you turned into Mr. Sherrone.
Yeah, no, I would love if you guys kept him because I
All
do.
out of that is Joey
I don't know if you
wishes he
guys.
could root for Michigan.
No. I don't know if you guys remember this, but I said it last year. Sherrone Moore's the worst coach in the Big Ten, and I mean, Jonathon Smith is rivaling him right now. But I do think it's very funny. I believe some of the takes that I said, like it's crazy that he's on the hot seat right now, beating Ohio State, beating Michigan State last year, beating Alabama, like you said, and he lost to Oklahoma, who, granted, they lost to Texas this week, but they are a top 10 team in the country, in my opinion. Lost to USC, traveling out west. I'm sorry, it's just not something normal for Big Ten teams to do. That was going to be a hard win no matter what. Granted, they didn't look like they had the best game plan for the game, but it is kind of crazy. Granted, do I think that he is the best fit? No. Like you said, he's got a $4 million buyout. We agree. He was probably a fall guy in case sanctions came down. But the fact that you guys are firing, it makes me feel like, dude, you're culture jacking me right now. Let me go through my coach woes. You don't really have coach woes. I have coach woes. You don't have coach woes. You're stealing my culture.
That is okay. You have worse coach woes than us. I will give you that. And this is where we are going to end this conversation. I'm going to say this one point. The reason I feel the way that I do is because Michigan football, for a large portion of our lives, was a middle tier Big Ten team under Rich Rod, under Brady Hoke, where the fan base was happy to get to 10 wins. And it very rarely happened. I think it happened once under Brady Hoke. And Michigan is a top tier football program in the country. In today's day and age, the funding that Michigan has behind NIL, there is no reason Michigan can't be in the playoff conversation and contention year in and year out. And I don't think Sherrone Moore is the coach to get them there. So we cannot go back to saying 8-4 is okay at Michigan. You can do what you want down the road at East Lansing. You hire James Franklin. I'll tell you, this is what you're going to get with James Franklin. You're going to get elite recruiting. You're going to get 9 to 10 wins a season. You're just never going to win the big one.
We'll see.
But every time you go into the big one, you think this is the time.
I tell you
and
what,
that's fun. And that's exciting.
Hope. Yeah. Give me some hope. Because right now, it's a lot better than rooting for a big loss so that your coach gets fired. I will be wearing IU gear this weekend.
Go Hoosiers. Go Kurt Signetti. They might be the best team in the country. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But thank you guys for tuning in. Episode 35. Free Brian Branch. He did nothing wrong.
Free my mans.